Hey there, Springs in the Desert. I'm Jillian, your host, and I am really excited to be with you this week with a returning guest. We have Steffani Aquila with us today yet again, and I was telling Stephanie before this episode started that I was a little bit jealous because last time that we had her on the podcast, I wasn't able to join, and so I'm so glad that I have her all to myself today, and I get to ask her all the questions, and we can get to know her even more. But if you didn't get a chance to listen to that first episode, we're going to link it in the show notes so you can get to know Steffani better and just all the beautiful wisdom and things that she shared with us before. But to start this episode, Steffani, would you just, as a way of kind of reintroduction, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited because it really always feels like being home with the Springs in the Desert
Mm.
crew. It's
Oh,
just,
wow.
I know it feels like I know you guys and that we've been friends forever, like just being seen by people, who like get
Yeah.
you. But for those who haven't listened to me before, my name is Steffani and I am the founder and owner of His Girls Sunday, which is a ministry and a business for helping families, individuals, and parishes live the liturgical year. And we just launched a new book called Festive Faith. So there is a
Woohoo!
resource out there for that touches on all those elements. And yeah, so that's what I get to spend my days doing.
Excellent. We're going to talk a little bit more about your newest book towards the end of this episode because I want our readers to know all about it and point them to where they can get that. And I think again that first episode I think was such a great one, and I want to kind of re-explore the idea of hospitality with you, Steffani, and especially as we near the holidays. You know, I remember, growing up, we had all of these traditions and all of these fun things, that we did. And those are still fun and it's still great to look forward to those. But as we become adults, as we have families of our own, no matter what that looks like, there could be challenges, especially when our family doesn't quite look the way that we were hoping it would look, or doesn't have as many people that, or some of the people are missing. Right? There's so many challenges, and so I'm wondering if we could first just talk about like some of that hardness, why it might feel complicated to invite people into our homes, even friends and family. And what are your thoughts about that, Steffani? Why maybe what are some of the your resources are coming as a way of support, and so why do you think it's we need that support? What are some of those feelings we might be experiencing?
hmm I love the topic of hospitality. I feel like this is a real treat for me because my
Mm.
husband and I, our mission as a married couple, before we even knew we couldn't have kids, was and is hospitality. We took on the patrons of our name, Aquila and Priscilla from the Bible, who were hospitable to Paul, to St. Paul, in his time of
Mm.
ministry. And it doesn't share anything about them having kids. It's believed that they didn't have any, that their sole purpose was to bring the community into their home for Mass and to
Mm.
let Paul rest. And I think mirroring that, I had no idea the impact that those patrons would have on my life when I first chose them, but it has been unfolding ever since. Um, and recognizing that hospitality is not just about hosting, right?
Mm.
Hospitality is about a welcoming care for those that we bring into our home. It is, in a sense, of vulnerability, right? And so
Mm.
recognizing that it's hard to be vulnerable. And it is especially hard to be vulnerable in a season that is so high, that so highly emphasizes family, children, um, the Hallmark season,
Yeah,
right? And a lot of
right.
that has to do, a lot of things get a lot of things are emphasized with children. And so, you have to just be aware, recognizing that, like, what is real hospitality calling me to? It is calling me to be the heart of Jesus, which that opens for people to enter into. Like, my home is an extension of me. And being okay, not, well, accepting on some level, right? That it is okay to have mixed emotions about that.
I I love what you just said, that your home is an extension of you and your marriage. And I think that that's I'd like to explore that a little bit more with you, Stephanie, because I think, for those who are maybe inviting people into their homes for the holiday season that's coming up soon, or just regularly, if you're just, a lot of the community talks about having friends who are either starting to have children or have a number of children, and you want to maintain those relationships, but that can be a little bit difficult to do. And so I'm wondering, how might someone sort of prepare or like create a space to continue those relationships when that tension sort of exists, or that difficulty exists, when the families look different. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel for other people in a similar situation to myself, or for people who have lost children, because it is a unique position to be in that you just don't understand fully unless you're living it.
Mm-hmm.
And um, maintaining friendships, I tell my husband, I knew that not having children would be a major hurdle, but I had no idea that the loss of community would be the even larger hurdle. Like, that was a
Mm,
totally unforeseen consequence or
sure.
circumstance of
Mm-hmm.
this infertility,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that part of what I've had to do personally is to let my friends know vulnerably, like, I miss you,
Mm.
and I'm going to tear because it's hard. It's hard to navigate those waters, right? When you want those friendships and you want those
Mm.
relationships, but you don't naturally fit into the groove of other families with children. And so I have had to be very bold and say, I want to come over, you know, or like, I want you to come over and bring your kids' toys and we'll put them in the game room and you and I can share some coffee or some treats. And just kind of, for me, like, it's about just having the courage
Yes.
to step out of the comfort zone and to share with people what they don't know, right? What they don't know and
Mm-hmm.
don't see.
Mm-hmm. You know, go back a little bit to when you were talking about, hospitality isn't just about hosting. And I kind of love the scene that you just set there, that we might have seasons where it's difficult to be bold and to reach out, but if we feel that grace present, to do that sort of by sharing with others, I want to be a part of your life. I would love to come over. I would love for you to come here. And I've kind of already thought about how we could make that situation work so that we can dive in and experience the friendship that we have and cultivate that while also living in the seasons that we are. And there's so much about, I just feel like you're breaking open hospitality, and what that really means, and like this ability to be comfortable with each other and to like prepare an environment where we can continue loving each other, no matter what our situation looks like. And I'm wondering, I like this idea of, if you're inviting someone in and they have children, kind of creating a space. um, and even, I love those words, like, I want to come over, I want you to come over. And you had talked about having this awareness too, that it could be hard, and kind of accepting that. And do you have any other thoughts about how someone who knows that maybe their in-laws are coming over, or their parents are coming over, or neighbors, whatever that might be, how they could prepare both their home and their hearts to receive those people who might be in a different season?
I think that it's really important to practice, and I know everyone says practice self-care, and that could kind of, like, get a little bit like, "Ugh," I know, I know.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about having a sense of peace within myself, right? And recognizing when I can and when I can't. And there are times with my husband where I tell him, things are going on, birthday parties, holiday, this and that. And I say, look, I don't have I don't have the capacity. I can't. I don't have the grace flowing through me in the way that I need to be able to show up and not cry or just, be overwhelmed and frozen in overwhelm. And then there are times where I feel like, you know what? I just need to get my meditation in today, or I just need to get my workout in, or my rosary, whatever that is for you, um, to fill yourself up and to say, you know what, I am going to give and be a life giving woman. That has been like a phrase that's been in my mind, like, what do I need to be filled up by God so that I can be a life giving woman to my community when my friends are tired from their kids and my parents are older? And, I mean, people are in different seasons. And I think what's beautiful about the beautiful part about being not having children can be, if you let it be, a space where you have the energy and you have the fervor, right? Like, I don't have kids all day. So when I see them, I have the energy and love for that, right? I have the energy to love on my mama friends because I've had the time to sit and meditate where they when they haven't. And then they come in and it's like I can love on them, right? This to me is hospitality. It's about loving on your people. Um, Practically speaking, my husband calls me Leslie Nope because I'm like, I don't know if you've ever seen Parks and Rec, but I'm like a binder maker. I'm like gonna give a gift
Yes.
for every small occasion.
Yes, I love it.
So I love making special, beverages for my friends. I set up a kids table. I make sure there's crafts prepared, coloring pages. Like, everyone should feel like there's a place here.
Mm.
But those are things I do. I love that. It excites me.
Yeah. Those are, I mean, just really beautiful ideas. I think to circle back to it, like, I just really appreciate that there might be days where you are feeling like, yes, I am feeling energized. I had the time to do the things to take care of myself and to really fill my cup so I can pour it out to others. And there are going to be days where maybe I'm feeling pretty depleted and I'm not able to do that. And both of those are okay. Both of those, like, Jesus is with you in both of those experiences and he knows what that's like. And I just think that that's so helpful. I know sometimes I just need to sort of like have that in front of me to know that that's okay and to, some, you might say, like, be given permission or encouragement that it's okay. Both of those are. And if you are feeling, up to it, that there's so many ways. I loved, just your, hey, I'd love, for you and your kids to come over. How about you have them bring their favorite toys and they can play and we can chat? That's super simple. Or, maybe it's a special occasion. Maybe you're celebrating a feast day, or maybe, it's just a bigger celebration and you have these activities. And I think that's just such a beautiful, both of those, whether it's a little bit more simple or a little bit more planned out, that, like, this idea of hospitality, like preparing an environment so everyone knows they have a place, is like such, it's what the Lord does, right? Like, we are all part of the body of Christ. And I think I just love that there are small ways and larger ways that you can do that and convey that depending on what your capacity is. And that's really beautiful. I want to get into the resource that you have because, right, I'm guessing some of our listeners are saying, okay, I'm having people come over. I want to do a little bit of planning. I'm getting, I feel energized to do that, but where do I start? What resources are available to me to kind of help me do this? And so, what resource do you have available, or resources, I should say?
So there are a lot of recipes and activity guides and articles on my website. Of course, there's Festive Faith, which is our new book from Ave Maria Press, which was written to show the community as a whole that we need to learn how to celebrate together, to
Mm,
stop with the silos, to stop with the liturgical living for only families with kids, or,
yeah.
I mean, just the nonsense. And I don't mean that in an ugly way, but just like I was shown in my separation the bigger picture, right? That it's like praise and celebration should look like the mass, the liturgy. So our liturgical living should be together. So this book has every season highlighted feast days, break down bullet points of like how you can very
Love it.
simply, easily attain some of these traditions in your home with everyone in every season.
I mean, I don't know what you could ask more of. I mean, that sounds perfect. Exactly what I need on my shelf. Stephanie, would you be comfortable maybe sharing one of your like favorite ideas from there, or something that just to give kind of a taste of what that might look like in your book?
Yeah, so we love the Feast of Seven Fishes, which is coming up. It's a Christmas Eve tradition, Italian tradition. My husband is Italian. And
Okay.
that is a really great way, especially needing to provide seven fishes, to get everyone involved, to bring something to pitch in with you, and you kind
Mm,
of orchestrate it and lead it. And what's beautiful about it is like when you see it all pulled together, this buffet with all your loved ones who have also provided, it just becomes this really physical manifestation of like church and
mm,
family and food that carries meaning. And like I just love those moments where food fills us, right? It fills us physically,
yeah.
but it also fills us emotionally. And I think
Mm,
uh,
mm.
it's a beautiful tradition to try.
Yes. I I love that. And I don't have the book yet, but I am definitely ordering it tonight because I want, I have some of my favorite, I don't know, sort of resources that I have next to my, like, on my little prayer table, and that one's got to be there. And I love to be able to just, like, I love how you have it organized so that it's just really encouraging to be able to practice liturgical living in any season. And I'm also such a huge fan of the idea that, right, liturgical living and diving into these holidays and these feast days is not just for children. And if you do have children, beautiful, right? There's so many ways to enhance it no matter what your family looks like. Maybe you're taking care of elderly parents, or maybe you have friends who live with you, or a sibling, and so I just really appreciate this idea that you can enter into the life of the church and into these beautiful traditions and celebrations no matter what your family looks like. And um, if someone wanted to buy your book, where could they do that, Stephanie?
They could do that on my website, hisgirlsunday.com, or they could do that on Amazon or Ave Maria Press or Barnes and Noble.
Woohoo! Excellent. Well, we'll make sure to link it so that everyone can find you. Stephanie, before we close out, if there is someone who's listening who loves this idea, they love this idea of being able to be hospitable and all these different amazing examples that you gave, but they are more on the empty cup side, that they're feeling it's a little bit unattainable to even get to the place where they can invite someone in their home. What maybe piece of encouragement would you give them?
I think just remembering that you're loved, that sorry, this is such an emotional topic, Jillian. It just brings up all the all the feels.
Yes. Yes, it's real. It's so real, right? We've
Yes,
all experienced it.
yes.
Yes.
You are so loved. It's okay. It's okay to withdraw, and it's okay to just say, I'm just going to jump in on what someone else is doing. I'm not going,
Yes.
I don't want to lead it. I don't want to cook it or craft it, right? Like, that's okay. And to just let it be simple, right? It can be made bigger. Things can be made bigger in our minds. And it's okay for things to be small and simple. It could be one friend that you have over for one little piece of cake, that you
Yeah.
curbside from HEB or whatever, like small and simple, that's fine.
Hmm. I love that, right? Because like just the fact that we exist is beautiful and right priceless, to God. That we don't have to do all the things to be worthy of the love, right, of Christmas and God's love for us every day, and to feel that we are doing enough for the holiday, celebrations. And heck yeah, I've totally been there many years where I'm gonna come to your thing. Thanks for inviting me. I can't cook, but I can pick up something on the way there if whatever you need. Like how can I help support the groceries, or how can I, do this, because I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. And that's totally okay. And just I think I know I've put my worth and how much I do, or my perception, what other people, how they're perceiving me, and sort of how big of a celebration and how beautiful my home looks. And those are beautiful things, but they aren't who we are and who God has created us to be. And, so listeners, I just hope wherever you're at, if you're feeling a little like your cup is a little more empty and you're just not really at a place where you're able to do the more extravagant, planned out celebration, that's okay. I hope that you still find those small, simple ways to just be present to what God is providing and in the celebrations that are coming up in this time of year, and just be. And if you are someone who's feeling energized, I hope you take advantage of Steffani's book and some of her suggestions on how you can kind of expand the feast days and the traditions to enrich them, and yeah, just live abundantly in this time, whatever that looks like. Oh, Steffani, thank you so much for coming. I cannot wait to get my hands on your book, and I'm just so grateful for all the suggestions that you gave our community.
Thank you for having me and all of my emotions.
They're always welcome. They're
Thank
always
you.
welcome here at Springs in the Desert. Yes. Listeners, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you check out the links in the show notes so that you can get to know Steffani a little bit more, and we'll see you next week.